Hey everybody and welcome to Dude's Brunch. It's like the counterclockwise podcast except the kids table version. With me, as always, Tyler Reed. How are you? What did you have for brunch today?
It's like the kids' table, except the counterclockwise
It's
version.
like the kids table version of counterclockwise.
What does that mean?
Well, if you listen to counterclockwise, you would know.
Who the fuck is that?
Maybe you should look it up in your podcast app.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure that was a pretty good joke, but it's clearly got over my head.
Did not know
Well,
it alone.
right. I went to First Watch today with my lovely girlfriend Catherine for my birthday. I had right, I had a cinnamon pancake, some over easy eggs, and turkey sausage. I typically don't get over easy, and I've been notoriously known for getting only scrambled, but I'm trying to like be a fucking adult and like try to grow an appreciation for more than just scrambled eggs. Because what's Sean? What?
What is how you take your eggs have anything to do with being
I
an
just feel like
adult?
scrambled is just like phoning it in. It's like baby's first like breakfast food. Like it's not like it's like of course you can just pick it up and eat it because it's in little pieces. You know, like over easy you gotta be careful with the yolk and you can like
What?
soup.
I just stab it with a fork and then dip my toast in it.
You are putting way too much thought in how to eat and prepare your eggs.
Well, there
I
you go.
agree. Sean, how are you? What did you have for brunch today?
I'm well. I'm feeling not super hot tonight, but that's all right. This morning, unlike my usual breakfast of nothing but black coffee, I had biscuits and gravy made here because my brother and Scott were in town. And I also had last week or 2 weeks ago we went to IKEA, so I still have some leftover lingonberry jam. So I put that on some biscuits too. And that was pretty good.
Damn balls dough. Wait, I actually said that loud. Sorry.
Yeah, you did. You sure did.
Shit.
All right, and joining us for the first time, our hashtag teen correspondent, Nathan Hampton. Welcome to the program. What did you have for brunch this week?
I almost never actually have brunch, but I did in fact today. I had muffins, mini cinnamon rolls, and then a really weird sugar-coated muffin that tasted like an acorn.
What?
And a sugar-coated muffin that tasted like an acorn?
It was really interesting.
Have you previously tasted an acorn before?
Probably.
Okay. All right. Well, shut me
We're
up.
learning lots about you already, Nathan.
All right.
Well, for brunch this morning, I pulled a Sean and had black coffee and went for a run. Because apparently Sean and I traded places today.
You sicken me.
All right. So if this is your first time joining us or your 10 millionth time joining us, you should already know that you can play along live at home on Twitter, tweet at DudesBrunch, or wish Tyler a happy 25th birthday by tweeting
Hey,
at
what up?
TDR And you know what the best birthday present you could give Tyler is? Playing bingo so he can make you free art. That's right. You can go to dudesbrunch.wordpress.com/bingo to play bingo along with the show. The first person to tweet in with a bingo will win a free birthday art prize from Tyler. Surprise, Tyler. You get to make this week's prize.
Yay! I hope somebody wins.
Happy birthday, buddy. You get to go first, birthday boy. What are we talking about
Great.
this week?
And to celebrate my birthday, I decided to not fucking do any topic at all. Chaos! Anarchy! Alright, so I felt compelled to not make a topic because I just wanted to talk to you guys because I feel like we need to do that thing that podcasts do where we just kind of shoot the shit, which is a phrase I've literally never used purposely in my life, so now I feel really weird. So did anyone have any crazy stories from Thanksgiving Any relatives do anything offensive? Anything? Tame?
I don't know. I mean, I just kind of had a regular family Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I had to work. That was about it.
Oh, Sean had to work. All right, that's pretty cool. Nathan?
Making them bucks.
I slept until like 11 o'clock, and that was pretty much it. Pretty mundane, pretty same.
Okay, well,
I'm sorry, Tyler. We're just not that interesting of people.
well, I managed to convince my family to play board games, which is,
Oh, yeah.
as someone that plays board games frequently, like I've been like ever since they kind of were like, oh, these games look boring. I've been kind of like, all right, well, never mind. I'm just not even gonna try. So we got out Farkle for some reason, and if any of you ever played the game before, it's just the worst. It's like just a dice. It's like a push your luck dice game. So it has
It's like Yahtzee, but worse.
yes, it has 0 interesting choices, and the rules are convoluted. And I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna get out some better games, and so we just played it. And I was like, I finally get to play games with my family. Does anyone get roped into playing games with their family? Anybody?
I forced mine to play last night.
Yeah, what'd you play?
You don't want to know, dude. 'Cause you're gonna think we played Uno.
Okay.
We almost played Yahtzee. But
We usually play Uno in my family. That's like our go-to holiday game.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, like, it just kind of got buried in a bunch of other discussion. And at one point, right as they were walking out the door, my cousin was like, aren't we going to play Uno? And my grandpa was like, we got to get on the road. I got to get back to the farm. Which is a true fact. Like, he actually had to get back to the farm and let the dogs out and do his chores and everything. And so they left, and we didn't play any games, and it was kind of a letdown.
What are you getting into the think tank about?
Well, I had to tell them all about my trip to India, and then...
All right. That really big important thing you did.
Yeah, and my cousin flipped her car a couple weeks ago, so we had to talk about that.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it was just a lot of like catching up on recent family injuries and travel. It's been kind of a big year in my family.
Right.
we talked a lot about well, we had for the first time we reverted back to kids' tables, adult table in my house because we couldn't fit one big table in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Scott and Stephen and I and my cousin Rick, and we sat around. And my cousin Rick is a nurse practitioner, and Stephen works for human resources for a hospital system. Scott's an environmental engineer, and I sling sweaters. So
Right.
we talked about the healthcare system a lot. Talked about picking health insurance plans and like how Medicaid and Medicare operates. It was good times. Good times.
That sounds really professional for the kids'
It
table.
does. We sat there for 6 hours and talked about nothing but that.
Were you at the kids' table as in like a table that was like really close to the ground where you're like your knees were like into like your...
We were at the card table that had a towel laid over it
there you go.
in terms of a tablecloth. So
Nathan, do you have a kids' table at your Thanksgiving?
Normally, if we go visit our family, which we didn't, we just had our sister who came back down from college and visited us. And our go-to board game is usually Ticket to Ride. So always a very good board game.
That's the best answer anyone's told me so far. So there you go. Is it original Ticket to Ride?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do
hell's
you
that?
have any of the other versions of it, or do you just play just standard Ticket to Ride?
Both me and my dad, they actually have the Ticket to Ride apps, and they have the different versions as different apps.
There you go.
And so we have those, but no, for the actual board game, we only have the original Ticket to Ride.
Right. I ended up getting the German version, which is very difficult for people who don't understand German, like to understand where everything is geographically.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like I should have gotten like the U.S. one because it's
wait. So Americans, generally Midwestern Americans, aren't familiar with the placements and geography of major German cities
of
like
literally
Frankfurt,
anywhere
Berlin.
else. Yeah, I mean, I
Brussels.
don't know where any of those places are, but
Brussels, the city you think about so little, you didn't realize that this was actually Brussels.
Right. Well, thanks to Ticket to Ride, I slightly know where those places are now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. See, board games can teach you a lot about social interaction,
Oh.
geography, how to build a power network.
Board games in the modern age are very underappreciated.
For sure.
I think they're certainly more appreciated than. Well, I think they're appropriately appreciated. Because I mean, like, definitely at the like a few 10 years ago, it was like still like Monopoly in life, and everyone was like, board games kind of suck. Now it's kind of like grown into like actually a niche instead of like just like 5 games choose. You know, they all involve rolling the dice and hoping something good happens.
That's not true. The game of life has a spinner.
Oh, I mean, Candyland, you just draw a card. That's the. All choice is removed. There's not even like the choice to cheat. Well, I guess you can, but dice you can at least like flip it a little bit. You can like roll it off the table and be like, oh, it counts. Oh, you can make up the rule on the spot whether dice on the ground count or they don't, depending on what you roll on the ground.
Do your
Board
families
games,
cheat
just
at
as a
board
metaphor
games,
for
or is that just my family?
No,
Everyone cheats. Everyone looks at everybody else's hand. Everyone tells everybody to make the wrong moves.
Yeah.
I use my political science will and tact to build alliances and then simultaneously break them 6 moves later. Like that, all the yeah. So yeah.
Is that just a product of the games being really boring and uninteresting and having no actual player choice whatsoever?
Well, we did
I think
something
that's what
interesting
that
this
means.
year. We used to play Uno like you just go until the last person that has cards loses or whatever.
Uh-huh.
This year we played first one to get Uno. You have points, and that changed the strategy. So now you were doling out your like skips and reverses and draw fours a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And it really sucked because my girlfriend was on my right, so every time that we were going in a certain direction, she was always getting like all kinds of bad cards. I was
mean,
like, I'm sorry, honey, I love you. I just have to get rid of this draw 2.
this draw 4.
Right.
This draw 4 again. I swear.
Has anyone played Munchkin?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is a great way to make everyone in your family mad at you.
It's also
Yeah,
a great way to waste like 5 hours.
That hit. Oh my gosh.
No. I'm gonna trump you on that with Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Did everybody's family talk about Donald Trump this Thanksgiving?
no,
Very
actually.
briefly.
I'm curious. People, tweet in. Let us know. Did your family talk about Trump, and how terrible was it?
Did anyone expose themselves as a Trumper?
A closeted Trump supporter.
Right. Surprisingly, my family conversation went really well this year, as opposed to last year, in which my mother said something about people who commit suicide don't get to go to heaven, and so we just like, which I immediately was like, so what's everyone thankful for?
Oh, so sad. Oh.
I was just like, oh.
So, speaking of things that are sad, did anybody score any deals on Black Friday? Anybody go out?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
No?
No, and actually, I was going to go out with my dad and wait in line at Target to buy my brother a new iPhone because his is kind of starting to crap out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, nah, I don't really care that much. I don't even want one.
Mm.
And so we slept in. I was going to do a nice thing for my brother, and he was just like, nope.
That's okay. I kind of
I
looked
watched
around
it.
online mostly. Is mostly what I did. I mean, my birthday's
Actually, no,
literally like.
I have a good Black Friday story.
Okay.
I was mad about this. So, Michael's, the craft store, had a coupon in their ads for 70% off custom framing.
Yeah.
I had a Shepherd Fairy print that I bought over the summer that I've been waiting to frame.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this to Michael's and get it framed. I've never had anything framed before there. I'm sure they do a decent job. And so I get there, And how much do you think a frame from Michaels costs?
Oh, dude,
70% off.
$200.
It's expensive.
$10, 15, 20.
120.
That's close.
Dude, it's expensive to have stuff framed.
Yeah, so I took it to Hobby Lobby, and without any discount, they'll do it for 55. What kind of racket are they running at Michaels?
I mean, if it's good shit.
Black Friday lines there? Who goes to Black Friday at Michaels to spend twice as much on frames? To hell with that. I'll go to Hobby
Dude,
Lobby.
man, you are butthurt about
I mean,
this.
did you notice?
I'm pissed.
You didn't even buy anything. You're just all butthurt about it.
For real.
I mean, did it look good?
Yeah, I mean, it would have looked good. I didn't buy it.
I mean, wait, so you didn't get the one from Hobby Lobby?
No, they gave me an estimate, and I said, well, I'm not really sure. I'm going to shop around and come back. And then I didn't come back because I got a better price.
So did you have it framed?
Yeah, it's being framed right now. I'm going to pick it up in a couple weeks.
At Hoblob.
At Hoblob, yeah.
Right.
Bob Loblaw's Hoblob.
So you did. So it's not finished. Okay, cool. That's what I was trying to figure out. Is if you had seen the mounted or the framed piece. So you have not. Okay, cool.
No, not yet. I'll get it in a couple weeks. Luke says that friend of the show, Buddy Smith from Fathers of the Revolution, his entire family was, quote, ablaze with Trump love this Thanksgiving.
Oh, dear.
Buddy, I'm so sorry for your loss.
I did go out on Black Friday. I didn't get up early. I didn't. I got up at like noon-esque, probably like 10. And then we went to Cleveland to go to one of the bigger malls, and we went to a bunch of stores that I'd never been into up there, like the Lego store.
Ooh.
Talk about pretty damn cool. They had, like, the little mugs that they have that Lego characters hold? You can get a real life-size Lego mug.
Wow.
That's kind of cool. They just had, like, a bunch of neat stuff, like a bunch of different, like, play sets. They're going huge on Star Wars right now.
Well, everybody's really going huge on Star Wars.
But it was cool. Like, I don't know. They had a bunch of stuff that I'd never seen before.
Mm.
Did
they have any good deals for Black Friday?
They didn't really have any sales or anything. I don't know. I think that Legos is like such a prestigious thing. I just don't think that they have to have sales. Like, people will buy them all year round because it's its own thing. I mean, I think they're like one of the top 10 most like illegally trafficked things in the whole world. So.
What does that mean? What's the implication of that?
Oh yeah, they're like, Legos are stolen and like sold on the black market all the time. You didn't know this?
No.
Next week, this is what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, that sounds.
Yeah, I'm all about this. This sounds great.
Yeah, okay. So not to do a spoiler, but yeah, they're like really, really like prized black market items.
There are topics that are great for this podcast, and that is literally
the
like top percentage of topics you could.
So, but that was cool. We'll talk about that more next week. Other than that, I went to the bookstore. They had 20% off your entire purchase, so that was kind of cool. Got a bunch of cool books.
FYE still had all their Black Friday sales on Sunday, and I was like, cool, so I didn't even have to go out.
We didn't either. Our store was running the same promo for Black Friday pretty much all week and up until tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a new thing that places are doing. Our sales at work, the Black Friday sales carry over into Cyber Monday, and then they get extended into Cyber Week, which really means we just don't turn them off.
Right. Black Friday doesn't matter anymore.
But we talked about that last week.
I'm okay with just a Black Week. Just a black mist covering an entire week of our lives. that like leaves with like a bunch of really good deals.
What if we did like a new month, like the month of Shopaware or something like that, where you had Thanksgiving, and then you had like the 30 days between the Thanksgiving and the Christmas. That was its own month. Then you had like holiday month and like Thanksgiving's Eve or something.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is the start of the month and Christmas is the end of it.
Right.
Great.
Then you just have those dead days in between New Year's and Christmas.
You just got to pregame that entire time. It's just this deals. I mean, I think America's ready for that kind of consumerism, that extreme consumerism.
Colby at Chedgehog on Twitter
Oh
says,
gosh.
"My Thanksgiving in a picture," and sent us the Donald Trump made out of dick pics.
Wait a second.
Have you
Oh,
not
I've
seen
seen
this, Sean?
There's a mosaic of Donald Trump made solely of dick pics.
Out
It's
of
pretty.
peepees.
Nathan, did you go out for Black Friday?
No, I mean, what would I buy with my copious amounts of currency that I obviously own as a high schooler?
Don't you work?
No,
I
did
guess you're
not.
15. I guess you.
I guess you're 15. Tyler has to make a concession. I'll allow it.
You're supposed to be cleaning out furnaces or heavy machinery or something. That's what you're supposed to be doing at 15.
Yeah, at 15 I was slinging hot dogs at Kings Island.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Yeah, make sure those dead rats don't clog up any of the fuck, what's an industrial revolution machine?
The machine.
Yeah, the machine. Them Henry Fords aren't gonna make themselves. Come on.
Tyler, did you have anything else on this? Because if not, I have a final question before we move on. Happy birthday, I'm cutting you short.
That's fine. I don't know why we're having a giggle party. That's okay.
I just saw a picture of Donald Trump. I had to
Oh,
type
okay. I was like,
Find it.
Sean's just like, dicks.
Oh, that's hilarious. Look at his dumb little.
not
doggy
dicks.
smirk.
They're called peepees.
Made of peepees.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm done.
sorry.
Okay.
I think we sufficiently bullshitted for enough.
All right, so everybody gets one pick. Thanksgiving internet post of the weekend. A tweet, a meme. Anybody have a favorite?
Shit.
I don't know.
I have mine.
Okay, go ahead.
I specifically saved it. Friend of the show, Ross Dickerhoof, during the Thanksgiving Day parade, every year I wait for one of the anchors to get confetti in their mouths, and it never happens.
Okay,
I want that so bad. It would be awesome.
All right, then I guess if I had to pick something, it's probably going to be in a similar vein. It was probably a lot of people saying, video games aren't part of the mainstream, but they're, taking pictures of, Pikachu and stuff. I don't know. It's not a great one.
Oh, like the Pikachu balloons and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was on that band camp this weekend, or this season.
I saw a Tumblr post that was what people think Black Friday in America looks like. And it was a Walmart, and then just a sea of darkness and despair. And someone commented, and they're not wrong. That's, yeah.
Leave it to Tumblr to be really sad about consumerism. Any favorites from you, Sean?
I don't know. I'm looking through Facebook real quick to see if there's anything. So bored. So boring. Nope, nothing. That's it. Nothing good.
Okay. On that note, speaking of boring things on social media, Sean, you wanted to talk about Twitter moments?
Yeah, why not? This is a cool thing that people do, right? I think. Okay, so Twitter Moments was around before it was put into Twitter's app as a little thing, right? I thought it's been around for a couple months at least. I thought.
Yeah, it was called News at first, and it's gone through a bunch of different incarnations.
Yeah. So basically, when I redid my app, Moments came up as
Up, Sean. Doubling for anyone else.
Nathan, we're getting a ton of echo of Sean on your end. Make sure your headphones are plugged in.
Yeah.
Wait for it. Nope.
Echo.
Try it now. Try it now. Ah, no. Nathan, I'm going to kick you out. You can come back in.
All right.
So while we're temporarily...
Nothing like technical difficulties in the middle of a live show.
Oh,
So, Sean, explain to everybody what Twitter Moments is, because I know Nathan knows what it is.
okay. Well, Twitter Moments is basically... It's like the summation of a bunch of tweets and GIFs and all this stuff, and they kind of put it together, and what it would be... Like Taylor kind of said, it was like a news reel that kind of... You can swipe to the left or right, and you can see either little tweets from somebody, or you see like a tweet in a little video or something. And basically, it's supposed to summarize an entire event. They try and put it into little categories, like they try and kind of like pigeonhole some of this stuff, like sports or news or like fun or entertainment or today, you know. And it's just so you can kind of scroll through this stuff and see like what other people care about that you didn't know that you should also be caring about if you do care about things that other people don't care about and do. And yeah, so this week I kind of told everybody, check this out. Tell me what you think. Do you like it? Taylor seems to not. He's been hating on it ever since the show even started. So, Tyler, how about you, man? What do you think?
Well, like most things, I feel like on Twitter that they try to like add onto like on top of the feed, it just doesn't really stick, because like I'm looking at straight at the feed. When you open up the website, that's what you see, and like that's why like I don't do lists, because you have to use like TweetDeck in order to like really like utilize them, and so because I don't want to have to like go to 2 different menus to then look at a list of things, because it's just wasting my time for something that I'm using completely as passively and casually as possible. Obviously, it's very useful for official accounts. Moments, I'm like, oh, that's there. You know, I keep forgetting that it exists. And I'm like, and so I flipped through it today, and I'm like, oh, sports. Soul Train Music Awards, don't care. The Walking Dead mid-season finale recap, I mean, that's okay. And then, okay, it's getting a little bit more interesting. President Obama visits the Paris terror attacks, okay, you know. MLS conference championships kickoff, don't care. NFL, and then Beyonce, don't care. Okay, cool. You know, it's like I just don't feel like it's for me. The most popular things that are going to be on Twitter aren't for me.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point that I hadn't thought of. For me, this is the most popular things on Twitter, and I'm not in Twitter necessarily for the most popular things. I'm in it for my niche of the internet. And so this just feels like, oh, look, it's all the news stories that I'm going to hear about on Facebook in an hour.
But do you, like, knowing... Okay, so I guess I should talk about what I did. So I thought it was really interesting in the beginning of the week when there was actually news going on. I felt like this weekend it's kind of really taken a dump because there's not that much going on. Like, Thanksgiving, like, post your Friendsgiving pictures, blah, blah, blah. But, like Tyler was just saying, I was just going through it right now, and the first one on the news, world news right now, is President Obama visits site of Paris terrorist attacks. It's kind of interesting, you know, like you finally kind of see some stuff that might actually be interesting. But I don't like. See, it's interesting that you don't like it, Taylor, because I figured that you would actually kind of like this, especially because you seem to be into finding new things on the internet and finding out what's going on. That's why I figured you might like this, because it's kind of like crowdsourced news and seeing what's going on and what's popular.
I think it has potential for that, for sure. I watched it the night of the Paris attacks, and it was really good for like boots on the ground coverage of that.
Right.
There was a lot of cell phone video there that I wasn't seeing on the news at first. But all of the content that's in Moments ends up being played on the news channels in a few minutes anyway. And so if you're not a cable cutter like I am, I don't see how useful this is for you. Like, if you have cable and you're sitting there watching CNN, Moments is going to keep up with CNN pretty much, and so they're kind of like filling the same niche, and I don't think that's useful to a large swath of the population.
Mm-hmm. All right. I guess that leads gently into my next question. So, is this kind of sourcing of GIFs and tweets and links an effective way to inform people about anything? Or is it kind of lost because, as you were saying, like, is it lost? I was like,
Oh, I think it's totally effective. I just think that the news stations are doing the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd be more interested in seeing Twitter do something different.
mm-hmm. But is this good? I guess I'm wondering, I was like, I kind of like this because I feel like I've totally grown apart from watching cable news at all. I just don't even want to watch it anymore. And it's kind of interesting to see like sourced videos and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I wonder if Twitter Moments has yet to have its moment where it like puts something on Twitter like that's fake, and it hasn't been checked or whatever. I don't really understand how this whole Moments works, how it's like sourced, but
There's like an editorial team essentially at Twitter that handles it.
Okay. So it's not like algorithmic or anything like that?
No, it's human curated.
Okay. So, I don't know. I guess they really haven't had a test yet where they've like posted something that was like, oops, that didn't work. But Tyler, anything?
It's just okay. I'm
Okay,
just like,
okay. So this is what initially made me kind of wanted to talk about it. When I first opened it up, when I first clicked on it, the top one under Today and Sports was Dota USA.
Oh my
And there
God!
was,
There's
like,
different tabs.
And there was like a
I
huge
can't
no, exactly. There was a huge thing. Like you could watch all of these clips from Dota and Dota 2 and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool because I know, well,
Whatever.
for someone
I
who
got
doesn't
you.
know much about it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like I didn't know that this was even going on, or that people were into this. Like granted, it was almost kind of funny in a way to see like
Video games in the sports
of
section.
like
Yeah.
pale white guys sitting in a room cheering at a humongous screen.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know. It was kind of interesting to see that was happening.
Wait, hold the fucking phone right now. All the other stories other than Today are infinitely more interesting. Like,
All right, now you've got me intrigued because I played around with the tabs when it first launched. Let me pull it up on my phone here.
I mean, it's just slightly like.
Oh yeah, these are way better.
No, you have to look through it, you idiots! I can't, I'm trying to say, this is kind of cool, and you're no, it's bullshit.
Yeah, Ben Carson visits Syrian refugee camp. That's really interesting. Okay, freezing raincoats, central U.S. Nah,
But it's going to have cool pictures. You know it's going to have cool pictures on there.
that's true. Planned Parenthood shooter taken into police custody? Okay. Pope Francis arrives in Uganda, criticizes Africa's wealthy elite. All right, Sean. I give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they just have chosen the headlines on the Today tab poorly.
Yeah.
I think they're just burying the lead because
Also,
the other stories look great.
Right now we are the example of most people that probably are using Twitter right now.
That's true.
Like,
They opened the tab and they were like, "Well, this is dumb," and then
Right, because it
went away.
goes right to Today. You don't realize that you can swipe right or left to see other categories.
because you don't do that
Right.
in Twitter ever.
Yeah, you never swipe left or right. Tyler's
there wasn't
right.
really-
The whole app is built on swiping up and down.
Right. There wasn't really a tutorial either when you open it up. You just click on Moments, and it's like, Moments. Yeah, that's it. You know.
I mean, I'm not saying there's a better way to do it,
Right.
but at least they could like. I'm scrolling down on the desktop version, and it could at least keep scrolling to the different topics. It just dead ends at the end of
Okay.
today, and then it could show me like the next one down, like news, and then sports and entertainment. And so then it's like,
Well, that's a good idea.
I want to keep that motion going, but it just kind of stops me. So
Right.
So maybe it's a UX problem.
probably.
Like, they just need to explain to us that we can swipe left to right, because it doesn't do a very good job of showing that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that's one thing on next question. It's actually like, what categories would you like moments to expand to? But like, so application-wise, it would be nicer if it would be more effective. Because when I look at it on the phone version, you can see like news, sports, entertainment like up on the top, and it's kind of like if you click on it, it will take you there, or if you swipe, it'll take you there. So that's why I kind of saw it. I was like, oh, okay, well, there's new stuff here now. So I don't know.
So, I don't know. I've only used it on the mobile, and it still wasn't that obvious to me.
The hell?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't know. We just have to. It's something they can work on.
I think as far as new categories go, I want to see the news broken out into more categories.
Mm.
So I would want to see, like, I'd kind of want to see a local tab, actually.
Yep, that'd be great.
That would be kind of cool.
I realize they would need way more editors for that, but I think even if they just did it in big cities like New York, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, that could be super cool. Hey, Nathan's back.
Hey, magic.
I don't know. Tyler, what categories do you want to see him add?
Did you see this? Okay, so the number one, hold on. The first trending topic, or the second one, under fun, is Star Wars Date Expiration Challenge, where you go to the grocery store and find food that expires on the day the new Star Wars movies come out. And it's like orange juice, like all this, like your salsa, your payment. It's like, ugh.
That's actually kind of funny.
That's
Wait, what?
Why?
I don't know. Nathan, have you played around with the new Moments tab on Twitter at all?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm normally a huge procrastinator when it comes to updating apps, and I update it solely for the purpose of this podcast, but I am a huge consumer of news. I watch it every single night. And if I'm...
Local news?
What now?
Like a local news channel?
Not so much local news, more national news, like CBS TV News. Like take CGP Gray's outlook on news. I'm literally the exact opposite of that.
So you're like all news all the time. You watch the nightly news. You have news accounts in your Twitter feed, that sort of thing?
I don't have news accounts in my Twitter feed, and that's why I kind of like the Moments tab, because I can kind of see what's happening at the moment and what's going on around, and click on something if I'm interested in it.
mm-hmm.
That's fair. I don't know. I guess maybe if, like... Do you guys remember Circa? Did anybody use Circa when that was out?
Mm-hmm.
And Twitter News feels like what Circa... It's like a watered-down version. It was a news app where they had a small editorial team that curated news from other sites. And so they would distill like updates to a news story into tweet-length sentences. And so like it would say, you know, shooter arrested, 3 suspects at large. And then if you chose to follow the story, you would get a little push notification every time something developed, like police are interrogating suspect and so on. But you could follow specific stories rather than following accounts.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Twitter Moments feels like to me. I think if they play up the idea that you can follow stories rather than following a whole slew of accounts,
Right.
Moments could be really interesting.
What if you can't? You can follow.
You can, but they don't really show you how to do it very easily.
Well, okay, so when you click on today and you see like SNF, Patriots versus Broncos, you can click follow. I don't know if it gives you updates on the games or whatever, but maybe it does.
It doesn't do that on the other tabs, though.
Oh. Oh, no, I guess it doesn't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're working on it. Maybe that's like the sign.
Yeah, I mean, this is very new.
Right. It'll be cool to revisit this later.
I agree. No,
I think
I want to play with it more now, Sean. You've won me over.
I still don't want to click on a different button. It's just not what Twitter's meant for. I don't know. It's just such a streamlined process that it's not even something I think about.
Well, if you're on Twitter this evening, you should tweet with the hashtag Luke and Buddy Holiday Date Night. There, I said it on air. Are you happy now, Luke? Are you happy now? Please stop sending me angry Snapchats. Did you have anything else on this, Sean?
No, I think we're ready to move on.
Well, now that Nathan's finally back from tech support hell,
Hey.
we can talk about his topic. Nathan, you wanted to talk about an album this week, right?
Yeah. So I decided to talk about an indie rock album called The Balcony by Catfish The Bottlemen. Catfish The Bottlemen is a quartet out of Wales and England. The members are from all over. And The Balcony is their debut release. Some of the tracks have been released on various EPs and singles throughout time. But it came out on September 15th in 2014, and it took the UK by storm, and it's slowly creeping over to America. So I gave you all homework to listen to the album. So my first question is, how far did you get in the album, and then what were your first impressions of the album?
Well, having watched it on the YouTube list, I watched everything that had a video. Once it got into just music, I was like, okay, well, I think I'm ready. I think I have a general understanding, because that was still like six or eight songs, right? It wasn't just like 3 or 4. I know it was a good amount, which is kind of interesting for this being their debut album, that they had so many videos and a lot of songs too. I was like, wow, that's
I
got a
sent
lot
them
of material.
YouTube playlist from the band's YouTube channel of the full album, but it mixed in music videos along with just like album cover art.
Okay.
Yeah.
Figured that was the easiest way for them to listen to it.
That's all right. Well, no, I feel like I have a little bit more of an eclectic understanding of them instead of it just being this one album. Sorry that it's not just the album, but...
Well, quit groveling and finish your answer. What did you think of it?
See, I don't want to sound mean, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much.
Fair
Like,
enough.
when I listened to it, this is what I got. Like, when I listened to it, I thought it was really interesting because I felt like more I was hearing other bands in it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was hearing, like, Kings of Leon and Cage the Elephant, and probably these guys probably don't listen to Eveline. I can't imagine that they would have heard of this band because they were kind of small in America. But I got a lot of that, like some poppy love songs, and it sounded very Coldplay-esque. So that's what I mean. Like, as far as like a UK alternative pop rock band, oh yeah, they fit the bill. And the thing is that I like a lot of these other bands, but I felt like I didn't really enjoy their album so much because it almost felt like I had been listening to this album for the past 4 years.
Yeah. Their influences are really apparent in their music.
Right. Which is cool, like nods to them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I don't want to say like, oh, it's horrible. It's just not for me.
Yeah. What about you, Tyler?
Well, I listened to a handful of tracks. I watched like one music video in particular. I would say that this kind of album, kind of like similar to like Sean was saying, I'm going to echo a similar thing, although I would say I would probably enjoy it more than he did, because I think there's a nice level of Up by Taylor, I think there's a nice level of quality. Like the album clearly, they know what they're doing. They have dynamics. They definitely know how to do soft, loud. They know how to like kind of really pull like
Yeah.
emotions. They definitely
Right.
know. They
Right.
definitely know how to perform.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of feels in a similar way to how, like Phoenix, if anyone remembers that band.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's kind of like a culmination of or a culmination. I don't know what the fuck that first word was. Culmination of like a bunch of like alternative rock like concepts and kind of like maybe doesn't do like the best version of it, but it's like kind of like this is like kind of almost like the sound of a few years and like a few like sections of like music ideas that we've kind of gone through.
Yeah.
So they're good at what they do, but I wouldn't say that they're not innovating. They're kind of like it's like a more refined version of all those other bands.
Yeah, their sound definitely isn't new. But sometimes, like, especially if you watch the live shows, it's like they play with so much passion that it almost kind of seems new.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, I had heard some of these songs before on like Spotify playlists and stuff, so I knew the words to like the first three, and I didn't know where I knew the words from. And it reminded me of the days when I had satellite radio in my car, and I would just listen to the alt rock station, and like you came to a point where you knew where alt rock songs were going because became accustomed to the genre and like knew what people were gonna say and how they were gonna do things. And so this album was kind of like a nod back to that time in my life. It felt very nostalgic to me. I listened to one track and it reminded me of The Strokes, and then I listened to another track and it reminded me of Franz Ferdinand and like all of these early mid-2000s bands that I remember from. I hate to sound like an old person, but from when I was your age, Nathan, like 15, 16-year-old me listened to this kind of music in my car all the time. And so listening to this record, it really like, I'm with Tyler. It feels like a perfected version of the music that I listened to when I was like first learning how to drive.
Yeah.
I miss satellite radio. That shit's fucking expensive, but
It was so good though. Like the channels on there were just awesome.
yeah, that's definitely when I feel like I gained the most like momentum and like listening to new and different things. I feel like that was a really good point in my life when I had access to that in my mom's car when I was driving to college in my first 3 years.
The board game mobile.
Yeah. Which car was that?
The big SUV, right?
Yes.
The Escape.
Yes. The board. Well, yeah. We've gone through so many cars, I don't even know.
Collectively, we've gone through enough cars to fill up a Claremont County front yard, so you know.
That's right. I already do that right now with our current car lineup. So.
Why did you pick this album, Nathan? Do you really like it? Is it? I guess I'm just curious. I never even heard of this band.
Yeah. They're pretty obscure in America. They're slightly gaining more traction. But I first heard about this band when a friend texted me in class, freaking out about the third song off it, the album list called Cocoon.
Okay.
And in the middle of class, I looked it up, and then I fell in love with the song as well, and then investigated the rest of the
Listening
band.
during class? What the fuck were you? How was that?
Okay, we'll talk about this later in.
I was going to say, this is my topic. We'll come back to this.
See, Nathan's totally got the hang of this show.
You kids and your Twitter grams on here in class.
And your Twittergrams. So, Nathan, like, I know you better than the other two, so I'm going to interrogate you, even though you're supposed to be asking the questions. Would you consider yourself a part of a fandom for this band?
Not to a huge extent. I mean,
Not
I'm
like
definitely
a Taylor Swift fandom, but like a low-key indie cool kid fandom.
Come on, Nathan.
Did you buy this on a cassette tape?
I think I bought this.
That's okay. I know that's false because I've seen your vinyl copy of this.
Okay, yes, I bought the hard copy vinyl copy, but no, I didn't buy this digitally. I'm a poor high school student.
Wait,
That
you
says
bought
it
it,
all.
you bought it on vinyl though.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, continue.
So you were asking if I'm in a fandom for this band? I would say yeah. I enjoy this band quite a bit. I think what makes me say yes is because I get Tumblr gifs of them performing all the time in my feed.
That counts as
That's all right.
fandom for me. It's okay. Sean's in the Smashing Pumpkins fandom, and
Yeah.
his dash is full of Billy Corgan. So
Me and Billy. Billy play guitar.
all right, continue with your questions. I'm done giving you a hard time.
All right. So I was talking about how their influences are really apparent in their music and in interviews. They always talk about looking up to the Arctic Monkeys, especially when making their really early stuff and their first EP, Poetry and Feel. I mean, to someone who didn't know, you could totally pass that off as just straight up Arctic Monkeys. But as they go along, they kind of develop their own originality. And I feel now if you have like the Arctic Monkeys, the Killers, and a bit of the Strokes, you kind of grasp what kind of music they play, and they're kind of putting their own rendition, their own spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I don't think it's necessarily new, but I think they're kind of making do with it.
So I'm curious, like, I don't know, how much of those bands had you listened to
That's.
before these guys name dropped them?
Hmm.
Because these are the bands that Sean Tyler and I grew up with.
That's just what's so weird about it, is because I really like all these other bands, but then when I heard them, I was kind of like, that's all.
Sean, are you a
It's just
purist?
like, no, it's just like I don't know. I can't. It was hard for me. This feeling is like so weird because I feel like I really should like this band, but when
It's
I
okay,
listen to
Sean.
them,
You like
I'm
Bad Blood, so and people say that band sounds like a bunch of other things too. So
I had listened to the Arctic Monkeys and liked their music before I'd gotten a grasp on this band, and then this band led me to the Killers and the Strokes. To answer your question.
And that's weird because I remember, like, I vividly remember being at Shake It Records in Northside with a bunch of camp staff people who were, like, all hip, and then one person who just tagged along. And he picked up a record and he was like, "Who are the Strokes?" And we all turned around and like everyone in the store was like, "You don't know who the Strokes are?" And Ben is outside the room where I'm recording laughing because he was there when this happened. Like, that's how big the Strokes were in that moment. And so it's weird for me, like 10 years later, to hear that you had never heard of them until this.
does Ben still like cool music?
Ben, do you still like cool music? Yes. Ben still likes cool music.
Well, hold on. I need to know what Ben's cool music pick of the week is. What is it?
Ben, get in here. You have to give your cool music pick of the week now that we've completely thrown this show off the rails. Ladies and gentlemen, my roommate Ben. Ben,
Hey. What am I doing?
what's your cool music pick of the week?
What does that mean?
You have to pick. What's the coolest thing you listen to?
The
this
coolest thing I listened to this week, I've been really getting into Aaron West and the Roaring Twenties. It's the Wonder Years frontman Dan Campbell's side project. They only have one album right now, and it's super sad. But he created a character called Aaron West who's going through a divorce, and all their music is about how this guy feels about getting divorced, and it's sad as fuck.
But it's good.
It's very good, but
Okay.
it's sad.
Alright. Okay. Cool, Ben. I didn't know about that. Thanks, buddy. See you next week. And that's concludes our segment on Ben's cool music pick of the week.
That's so sad.
All right, Nathan.
Take that,
Did you-
Miley Cyrus.
Do you have another question?
Yeah, in Sean's case, since he didn't like the album too much, try to think of the song that was most tolerable, but what was your favorite and least favorite track off the record and why?
Oh, now I gotta pull up a track listing.
Yeah, hold on, give me a second.
Yeah.
Most tolerable. Oh wait, wrong thing.
Most tolerable? Is that what?
Yeah. Okay. For me, best song, Kathleen.
Yeah, that's their most popular by far.
Yeah, it's just a good alt rock single. Really feeling that one. Worst song, 26, I think.
Yeah,
There's just some, like, the chorus of that song isn't really a chorus.
yeah.
It's just like a riff. And I feel like that's overdone. Like, just write a chorus. You're making pop music. Like, just write a chorus, guys. Come on. You're not that hard.
They definitely like their pop hooks.
Yeah, and they do them really well. And so I was really disappointed that they didn't build a good hook on top of that song because the verses are really solid. It just needs a better hook than it gets. Like, it doesn't get the hook that it deserves.
Yeah.
I think Pacifier is probably my favorite. It almost kind
That
of
one
reminded
was.
me of 59 Sound a little bit if it would have been not 59 Sound. But
What song did you say?
Pacifier. It
Yeah.
sounded like Gaslight Anthem, which I really liked.
Yeah,
So
that's
that was
fantastic.
cool. I don't really want to say like that I could like tolerate this band because they were good. I just there's something like
Weren't for
strange
you,
about
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And what
Tyler's
about
over here re-listening to the whole album.
Right.
what about least favorite off the album?
I didn't really have one. There wasn't the ones that I listened to. There wasn't one that was like a miss that I was like, ooh, nah. It was all pretty good for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
it is really pleasing. Like it's really ear pleasing. It's just ugh. So bad at
Real
this.
quick, Lucas says, now we have music for when we break up. Hashtag Lucas and Buddy are getting a divorce. Hashtag Lucas and Buddy holiday date night. Bringing the sadness here on Dude's Brunch. Tyler?
I would agree that there wasn't really any songs that particularly disgusted me. I think Fallout and Homestick, I think, were particular points of interest, I would say,
In a good or bad way?
in a good way.
It's cool that we all had different ones.
Yeah.
You got a favorite, Nathan?
My favorite would definitely be Pacifier. Just the way that it starts, it's kind of like a punch in the face, and it's like you just keep on going. And then my least favorite would definitely be Hourglass. It's kind of because it kind of is so different from the rest of the album because they bring in the acoustic guitar, and it's just so it just doesn't flow with the rest of the album. I don't think.
I'm just going to give a short rant here.
Oh, this is like Taking Back Sunday's fifth song of every album they ever made.
Exactly. I don't think every album needs a fifth song ballad. You can write an album without a ballad. It's okay. So the album Distraction by Bare Hands. I don't know if you guys have listened to that. It's another one of these like really solid but not remarkable alt rock records. It's from 2014. The whole album is great through, just as a good like car record, except for the ballad, which is just like really sparse single guitar and the vocalist singing in a falsetto about a town in Iowa. And I'm just like, I don't care about this. I don't care about this at all. Like, just have fun and don't write some sappy ballad in the middle of your album. We don't need to do that anymore. End rant.
But sometimes cowgirls get the blues.
Every rose has its thorn. Oh wait.
So there's about two more things I want to touch on. I like to describe this, the album and then Catfish The Bottlemen as a whole as profound, profane, and prolific. Because if you actually listen to the lyrics, especially in Cocoon, they like their F-bombs. I mean, if the chorus of Cocoon has about as many F-bombs as the non-friendly radio version of CeeLo Green's Forget You.
He's not wrong.
And then prolific as in terms of this band makes a lot of music. From their first album, what they did is they made about 35 songs, played them all at shows, and then got the fans' opinions on which ones were the best. And this album was released about a little over a year ago now. And they're planning on early next year for their second album release. But at shows, they talk about how they've have their third and fourth albums ready. And it just seems entirely ridiculous in terms of the amount of sheer music that they make. Yeah, we don't ever see it.
Right. It seems like they might have turned the model on its head, though. I feel like there's always like these older bands, Smashing Pumpkins in particular, not to just keep going on them, but they just have like every once in a while, every 5 years, they'll have like a B-sides album or something that's all this unreleased music, but that never made it like beyond the cutting room floor and into albums. And it's like, well, but that was good, you know, like somebody really likes this, we should put this out there. And it seems like they've kind of turned that on its head, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like this idea of like the crowdsourced album, where you play all the songs live and then you pick the best ones to record. Because
Maybe that's why they ended up having the sound that they did, though.
Yeah, like this album just feels really polished.
Right, and maybe that's why it kind of feels like it's behind it almost a little bit, because you had to get through all of the the R&D of making a good album.
I'm curious. I'm gonna look up how long they've been playing together.
Unless
someone already knows that.
So, as
2007?
a self-professed punk person, Nathan, do I have to take away your punk card for this album?
Go ahead and do it.
Okay.
For real, though, they've been playing together since 2007, and this is their first record 8 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean's right. I think it's an interesting way to produce an album, but that's definitely why it feels like alt-rock from the last 4 years, because it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably wrote these songs over the last 6 years if they've been playing together for 8.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's what's weird about it for me. Is not that it's like it's bad music. It's that the methodology was just really strange.
And it's a
maybe
debut.
not strange. It's just out there.
I mean, their second album could go in a completely different direction. We've seen that happen before with these kinds of bands. Look at MGMT.
Oh.
Talk about a band that completely changed directions. Or Cloud Nothings. These are probably bands that Nathan is too young to remember.
Aww.
Yeah. Cloud Nothings were like the indie darling. Probably when I was like a junior in high school, maybe a sophomore.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, but they had this really super upbeat, like 29-minute long punk record. All the songs are really happy and they're really short. And then their second album is 6 songs long and 45 minutes, and all of them are really fucking sad. It was like an entirely different band. Still good, but an entirely different band.
Yeah.
It's alright.
Two
So
interesting
I don't know, maybe they're going to go that direction.
Yeah. Two interesting side notes that I found in looking at the band was you've probably wondered about the name, the interesting name that people always question about when I introduced them to the band, Catfish the Bottlemen.
Mm-hmm.
So the lead singer, Van McCann, is actually Australian, and he got the idea for the name of the band. When he was a little kid, his first memory of music was a street performer called Catfish The Bottlemen, where he basically had all these bottles strewn up everywhere and played with them with forks and made really intricate music. And he thought that it'd be appropriate to name the band after that. And apparently people actually found this guy in Australia, and he apparently knows about the band. He's like, oh yeah, it's all cool and all that. And then the actual album cover, which is interesting by itself, they actually have a cutout of that at each of the shows that they play. And then if you look at the Twitter hashtag #GrabYouByTheBalls, you'll see people with their heads in that cutout, and it's pretty interesting.
That's a cool marketing trick. I like that as a social media person. Looking at their Wikipedia, they promoted themselves by playing in car parks after other artists' gigs, including bands such as Kasabian.
Yeah, they'd leave their CDs on the cars of people who went in to see other gigs.
So we
This
can
band
definitely
sounds
say
like a marketing machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're definitely trying. And they definitely I would agree that my perception of them is changed a little bit, and I would say that the way that they sound, like we've been saying, is probably because they've been performing this music for years. I would like to see them cut a brand new album right now, like fresh music. See what they make. Because if they already have like stuff that they've recorded or whatever, and they're like, just waiting to put it out, I don't want to hear that because that just sounds like it just sounds like you're in art school and you're like trying to pass off like your school projects as like like real legitimate finished pieces. Like that was all of that learning. I feel like you should just make something new and see how it goes. I mean, they can keep putting out music. That's fine. I would like to see how that would turn out for them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm really interested to see where the second album in the beginning of next year goes, because I think it might be make or break for them.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think this is really interesting, though. I almost want to like subcategorize them into like a new genre called like guerrilla alt or something like that, where they like, because what they did was really interesting. Like they were doing all these tactics and all this stuff to get their music out, and they're all upfront about it. To make that they were out to do something that was going to be really well liked and all this stuff, and they weren't afraid to, kind of sit on somebody else's coattails and go the non-traditional route.
Wouldn't we say this is something similar to like kind of how 21 Pilots operates?
No, I don't think so. And I think the difference is that 21 Pilots exists or tries to exist in a vacuum. So I like what both of you said. I'm going to diverge from your points and agree with them. 21 Pilots is kind of this like band for people who are too young to appreciate the legacy, right? So when you listen to 21 Pilots, you don't understand not all people, but some people listen to 21 Pilots and they don't understand that he's doing like white boy reggae on some of the songs on the recent album, which is a throwback to The Clash in 1979. Like, that's a huge leap for a 13-year-old to make. I think Catfish and the Bottlemen is interesting because it feels like a gateway band for a very particular kind of age gap.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk a lot about in the rock scene about like the death of guitar music and the death of rock and roll, and like every 6 years people say, rock and roll is dead and disco's taking over, or rock and roll is dead and hip hop's taking over. But every time a new wave of gritty rock bands comes up, we saw this in 2000 to 2005 with the White Stripes and the Strokes and Franz Ferdinand and all these bands we've been talking about. Catfish and the Bottlemen feels to me like a really good gateway drug for people of Nathan's age to get into that style of music. Mm-hmm. And so that's really, like, maybe that's why I'm not hooked by the whole album, just some of the singles. But it really excites me because now, like, after this show, I'm going to send Nathan a massive list of, like, albums that we used to listen to that sound exactly like this one. And it kind of continues the legacy of rock that way, and I think that's really exciting.
When I compared 21 Pilots to this band, I kind of was referring to more almost in like a marketing sense, because 21 Pilots feels like they kind of like invite the audience and like their fans into like sort of like this feeling of belonging by kind of like giving them like different things to kind of like attach onto, sort of like grab onto, sort of similar how Catfish and Bottlemen allows you like kind of like allowed them to kind of pick the songs that they thought would be best for the album. It feels very interactive, feels very personal. That's kind of what I mean, where most bands are like, here's my shit.
Like it or don't.
You want to buy a screen printed poster?
All right, that's all I had.
He's done.
I'm interested to see where this goes. We may have to have you back on when the new record comes out.
There you go.
So Nathan, I've alluded to it already, and you've alluded to it already, but I was really excited to have you on this week, both as our #1 fan and our #teen correspondent, to talk about an article that I read this week. This is a Popular Mechanics article called "The Generation." It was some long ass title like the generation that's never lived without smartphones.
The generation that doesn't remember life before smartphones.
That's what it was. Thank you. And it profiles a group of different teenagers and talks about people who grew up pre-ubiquitous internet and people who grew up post-ubiquitous internet. And so Sean's 26,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler's 25, I'm 23, and you're 15?
Correct.
Okay. So the three of us are kind of close in age, but we were coming up at a very particular time, and then you're like 10 years behind us. I really want to talk about how that's changed what being in high school and being a teenager and discovering rock music and all this stuff, like how that has changed since smartphones have become a bigger part of the equation. And Sean is shaking his head already. We haven't even started.
Go ahead.
Fuck
keep
off,
going.
Sean.
Keep going.
So let's just start really basic. What's your earliest memory of technology, everybody? Or like, what was your first piece of technology that you owned?
Are we
Either
talking
one.
like phone-wise?
In general, like, do you remember the first time you used the internet? Do you remember your first
I was
computer?
basically born with a Sega Genesis controller in my hand, so like
Sean?
I don't know. I guess like the first like piece of like real like up to speed technology was the original gray box Game Boy.
Wow.
Yep.
See, and I'm just younger than you, and so for me it was the Game Boy Pocket, which was the gray box Game Boy but shrunk down so it could fit in your pocket, but it was still like twice the size of a deck of cards. And it still had a black and white screen, and I played Pokemon Blue version on it, and that's it, because it's the only game I had for the longest time.
Oh man. I wonder if I still
Yeah.
have that thing somewhere.
I think I sold mine, unfortunately.
I'm going to step up from Sean. My first memory is my special edition Pikachu Game Boy Advance.
got him.
You're like 2 steps up from Sean. You skipped over the Game Boy Color.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what a piece of shit that was. The Game Boy Color. So, I put a timeline in my notes, and I'm just going to read it aloud for the viewers. I focused it around the iPhone because that seemed like the easiest thing for everyone to relate to. So in summer of 2007, the first iPhone was released. I was a freshman in marching band, and I had just joined Facebook. Where was everybody else in summer 2007 when the iPhone first came out?
It's a marching band. What do you think?
Probably also that.
It was my
But you-
phone. My phone up until I went to graduate school was a little tiny stick that had little numbers on it, and the screen was pixelated, and it didn't have internet access whatsoever.
I think I think we've talked about the story before, but I think I was the first of us to have the first like commercially like accessible like BlackBerry type phone.
Yeah.
And so I was like the first one to I think out of us to have a smartphone, and that was the bee's knees. That was good shit.
I remember how
And
cool
you
it was
broke it at Warped Tour.
the internet. On
Right.
your phone. It was like, oh, let's look it up on the internet. Oh, Tyler's got internet on this phone. Cool.
Yeah. Man, that was a good fucking time. Holy shit.
It's like $5 a megabyte.
Didn't you
Right.
Didn't you go from the brick to that phone? Like it was just like
Nokia brick, internet phone.
starting
Right.
fire pushed 2 rocks together to owning a jet engine.
Previous to that, I specifically remember a situation where I went to New York with school for some reason because they allowed like 2 band kids to
'Cause it
like
was
tag
you and
along with a bunch of choir kids.
Hey, dance people were there too.
And so I distinctly remember that I there was a girl I was interested in, and I texted with her post that event, and I distinctly remember my parents getting very frustrated with me after they saw like the wall of text that I was using, like, because they showed you every single one of them, and I guess it like charged like cents per text, and they're like,
yeah, it was like 6 cents per text.
Right. And I'm like, I'm busy. I'm doing stuff. You know, it's like I'm trying to get some action. Come on, Mom. And like,
I distinctly remember sending my first text message, and then almost immediately getting yelled at by my dad for sending a text message.
Don't do that. It's offensive.
Yeah, I think when the iPhone came out, I don't even remember the iPhone, like when it first launched, because I was so infatuated with Tony Nelson's Envy that flipped out to have a full keyboard. And I was like, holy crap, phones with full keyboards, this is the future! I was so excited.
How wrong we were.
Nathan, do you remember anything from that time, 2007, early iPhone?
I don't know if this is specifically 2007, but it's near enough to it. Probably second, third grade, probably, with my Game Boy Advance, and then I used to do a thing with my parents' old Motorola phones where I pretend to be a lawyer and take calls just for hours on end. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Wait, what did you do?
I pretended to be a lawyer and I took calls, just talking to a non-existent person on a dead phone.
Oh, okay. I wanted to make sure that I was understanding that.
So
Go
when
ahead.
I was in like second and third grade and like building forts out of dirt in the construction site, you were pretending to be a lawyer with your parents' used cell phones.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any problems here.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. Sean, Tyler, and I joined Twitter in winter 2008. That's not that interesting. It wasn't until summer 2008, when Sean was preparing to go to undergrad, that the App Store opened up and you could put third-party apps on phones. Do you guys remember anything about apps? I mean, BlackBerry was still a thing then.
I didn't have a smartphone.
I didn't either.
This is
Did I have a
something
smartphone?
that I got on my iPod. The next year I had it, or 2 years later, I got on my iPad, or not.
Your iPod Touch?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I started on the 2. Went to 3.
The iPhone 2?
Yeah, iPhone 2, 3, 4, jumped to 6. So, I'm trying.
I think you've had the most iPhones out of anybody.
Well, we're on AT&T, of course.
Yeah.
I have very supportive parents.
Nathan, do you remember any of the early days of apps?
I remember in 5th grade coveting an iPhone 3GS, which was never going to happen, considering still today, the phone of glory.
Oh.
Hey, you have the phone I wanted when I was your age.
What just happened?
Yeah.
It's got a slide-out keyboard, you guys. It's the future.
Well, Taylor, you're buzzing.
What do you mean? I'm buzzing.
Okay, you're fine now.
You got too excited and you started fuzzing out.
Oh, my bad. My
Yeah,
bad.
you got calmer too, dude.
Dude, I just wanted one of those keyboard phones so bad. I don't think you understand. All right, so
Why?
It was the future.
yeah, you could text so much faster, you guys. So how did you guys use technology in high school, or how do you use technology in high school? Because for me, it was mostly like, get home from band practice, immediately get on AOL Instant Messenger and talk to the same people I was just at band with, because none of us had texting yet.
Yep. I was one of the unfortunate people to not have like my own personal computer in my room with internet.
Same.
So I had to use the family computer, and
Which
having
was in a
problem-
room called the computer room.
Me
Right.
right now.
I'm glad that hasn't changed.
Good. Y'all kids gonna be looking up that pornography when you're in rooms by yourself, not at 12 a.m. when your parents are asleep and you can't get that hot puss.
Tyler's getting too real.
Tyler, you're getting way too real right now.
And then they put the password on it, and then you gotta figure it out, and then you never do.
You're keeping it 100 right now. I need you to dial it back to like 85. Sean, how did you use technology in high school?
I don't know. Frustratingly, I guess I had this thing called MySpace that was absolutely terrible.
God.
That was the worst.
Is it really the worst, Sean?
Well,
Tyler, just go back to episodes 29 and 30 and listen to how much we bitch about MySpace to this day.
it wasn't. So I don't mean it was the worst. Like it was a bad platform. I just was I was just a completely different person back then. And looking back on that part of my life, I just think like, God.
That's right. You wore a hat then.
You were an idiot. And I should legally change my name from who I was then.
Well, the good news is that you're a human being, and that means you have the amazing ability to forget.
Right. When I came home from band, I don't know if your guys' parents still have these, but I actually called my girlfriend on a landline.
Oof.
I was tethered to the wall because we didn't have a mobile telephone in my house. So we had this huge phone. We had this phone in my kitchen that had like a 30-foot cord, and I could like
that phone.
I could like go upstairs. I could like sit in the hallway upstairs in privacy while my parents were downstairs and have this tethered phone talking to
big
them.
old dongle across the room.
Right. Or I could sit in my parents' room and talk on their bedroom phone where I had some privacy. Yeah, it was.
And then there's voicemail.
We had an answering machine.
Yeah.
Not just voicemail. We had an answering machine. Like it went onto a tape.
Yeah, and your friends never left you messages on the answering machine because they knew better.
That's
because your
not
parents
true.
would listen to that shit.
There was a time when people did, and
I did. Oh, I would always leave messages on people.
Tyler! Tyler!
We got the
Oh, yeah,
boat,
we would do
Tyler,
that
I know
to
you're
you.
there.
Every time, okay, Nathan, this is true. Tyler would like not hang out with us unless we gave him some incentive, like we were going to buy him food. And so when we wanted him to hang out with us, we would just call up his parents' answering machine and scream at him. Tyler, you need to hang out with us.
Hold on. There was incentive was if you're talking like end game Tony hangouts, then yes, there was an incentive. But like when we actually had fun and actually did fun things together, then there was.
I'm just being a dick. Let's move on.
All right.
Nathan,
Okay.
You've heard about the sad stone age of our high school years. What was it like for you? What is it like for you?
I was gonna say,
using technology in high school. How tethered to your devices are you?
More and more, especially every year in school, with them getting more integrated every single year with technology. And the article.
Do they give you Chromebooks like they talk about in the article?
No, that's what I was about to talk about. The one-to-one thing, we don't have that necessarily, but we do have computer labs on like every single floor, and we do have laptops that a teacher can rent for the entire class for a class or two, but nothing that we're allowed to take home or nothing that is specifically rented to us.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
So when you come home, like, you get home from school or you get home from extracurriculars, what's the first thing you do?
The first thing I should do is pull out my homework. That's not what happens, though. It usually goes Instagram, Tumblr, Clash of Clans, Instagram again, posting to my meme account, and then then
You got a
trying to.
regimented afternoon.
This is also the kid who prints out paper versions of memes and sells them at high school.
How's that going, by the way?
Currently on permit hiatus.
Oh, well, that's probably good.
Did you get in trouble?
Kind of like. It was
Like,
more that
Nathan,
I just got called down to the office. Like, hey, please stop doing this. I know there's nothing specifically saying you can't do this. Just please stop.
They're like,
about
Nathan, if you're gonna fucking do this, at least make the fucking memes, okay? You're just copying and pasting shit from the internet.
Pretty much.
You gotta make your own shit, okay?
Speaking of laptop carts, when I first came to Akron, they sent out, like, when you got your dorm form or whatever, and you decided like where you were gonna live, they sent out this other form with it that was like rent a computer for a semester, and you could go to the library, like provided you this computer that you could have all the time through the whole semester, and it just blew me away because I was like, wait a second, you can like rent like a school's gonna let you take out a computer that's not tethered to the wall. Like, how weird is this? How strange is this thing that you can do?
Yeah, and now they let 13-year-olds do that.
So it wasn't leased though; it was like owned by the school, and you went to the first day and you got your computer, and they gave you like the cord and the bag, and they showed you like, this is, make sure to save your stuff on the flash drive, and you were just free to go. Go to town.
The main thing that I didn't see in the article was that, no one talked about this in the article, was group chats are a huge thing now in most of my classes. I may or may not be in some group chats in some classes where all we do is share homework with one another, and but that's how people are communicating nowadays. Normally, you'd have to let someone borrow your paper, and now you just take a picture of your homework and send it.
Holy shit. I would have cheated so much in high school if I had
Crime. Well, I mean, IB essentially had that shit down to a science anyway.
True facts. Not to say that I didn't totally work hard in IB, which I did, and you didn't cheat on like the exams.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had it down to a science where like there were 2 English classes and they were first bell and second bell. And so somebody would like go to the bathroom and like bring you the vocab homework in the bathroom and shit. Like, yeah, it was super shady.
What?
I'm not kidding.
That
was the
school
thing,
taught
man.
you how to hustle, though.
We
That's
never-
what being in there did.
We're preparing you for real life.
We never did that.
We would also do the homework from first bell during second bell, and then second bell during third bell, and just cascade down the day until by the end of the day, the only thing you took home was your last class's homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the key was to always get Spanish at the end of the day because you never get homework in Spanish.
But to be fair, I think IB was like, they're basically like college level classes. Like, at least they were styled sort of that way. At least they tried to be.
Yeah, they were more like
So it's like
seminars.
They definitely gave you
you got
a lot of
graded
work.
for like how you were in the discussion and stuff like that. But that's outside the point.
right.
So, are you on devices during class, Nathan?
Well, it really comes down to the teacher and what they use it for. I'd say about 40% of the teachers don't care if you're on your device the entire class, because they don't care it's your grade if you're going to pay attention to whatever. The other half are put your devices away, all that stuff. And then some teachers actually utilize them in terms of, there's a website called Kahoot.it, which is a really interesting quiz site. You connect your phone or device. It has this little join code, and they'll usually test over vocabulary or something with that. So
Yeah,
I'd say
that would have never flown when we were in high school.
I'd say it's either the teachers utilize it, they don't care what you do because it's your grade, or they hate technology.
For us, it was always like, you're not allowed to bring it in. It needs to be in your backpack or in your locker, and if we catch you with it, we're going to take it, and you can't get it back until the end of the day.
Yeah. That sounds like 6th grade middle school for me.
I had my iPod Shuffle taken away so many times. So many times.
In the article, I talked about how most of the students are allowed to have earbuds in one earbud in and one earbud out. Actually, the year that I became a freshman, in the past, they had completely let that flow. And I mean, you were allowed to listen to music in the hallways and all that. But when I became a freshman that year, it was an immediate ban on like almost all headphones unless you're using them for the activity. no headphones in the halls, but still no one cares because if you have headphones in, you're obviously not going to hear a fire alarm or some emergency, and you're not going to know what's going on or something.
I felt like that was like the pinnacle of sneakiness when I was in high school. Like, I remember kids that would, in 8th grade, that would have like a hoodie, and they would put their, let's get ready for this, MP3 player inside of their like pocket, and they would cut a hole, and they would break apart a pair of headphones and run the wires up to like under the sleeve, and then you would like put your head, you would sit like this during
like
class, and you could like listen to your headphones.
That's
And
how I got my
like,
iPod taken away like 8 times.
Totally not obvious that at all that anything was
going
going on.
Class, like all the time.
Or something
Constantly.
So, yeah,
I think the
weird.
biggest change that, I mean, one of the biggest changes that I've noticed quite recently is overheads started to be phased out like my 5th grade year. And then we started moving on to projectors and Elmo screens. Do you guys know what an Elmo is?
It's like a smart board, right?
No. That's like one step below a smart board. It's where you kind of have a camera that's looking down on a piece of paper and it's being projected on a board.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So then that was till about 7th grade, and then now we have these things called smart boards, which are basically these giant tablets in the front of a room that you can interact with the computer it's connected to.
We don't even have those at the place where I went to college.
I feel like I had a college professor that had an overhead.
I had college professors that used overhead.
They used to carry to class every day.
Commitment.
Like, yeah, I don't remember who it was, but it was just like, it was the strangest thing. I feel like I liked that professor a lot too, because I would always help them like move the overhead into place because you know they were going to use it every day.
All right, so we're running a little bit long, but I want to get to these last 2 questions. Each panelist, do you wish you had more or less technology when you were in high school, and why?
What kind of dumb question is that? Of course I wish I had more technology. Duh. That's like the greatest thing. You know what was the biggest pain in the butt when I was in high school? The idea that a rough draft was something that you wrote on paper, then your final draft was what you typed up. Dumb. Absolutely moronic. I was telling Sarah about this the other day, this whole idea that, like, handwrite your rough draft, and then I'll check it over, and then you can type it up. Why would you not just tell your students to type it up and just bring it in? It's so much easier to correct. This is stupid. Yeah, I wish there was more all the time, integrated into everything. Why are we wasting time not integrating technology?
Why not we just find some aliens and let's just remake the Matrix? Let's do it right now.
I'm with Sean, especially with stuff like that. Do you have any idea how much I would have loved having Dropbox and Slack in high school? Holy shit. I wish I had Slack in college. I showed Slack to somebody that I went through undergrad with, and they were like, dude, all those like film production assignments we had would have been 10 times easier with this. Like, I didn't have Dropbox until probably my sophomore year of college, and now I use it for literally everything. I would kill to be going to high school right now. My life would be so much easier than it was back then.
Yeah.
Tyler?
I would say maybe I'm okay with the amount of technology I had, but I would say I would almost would prefer the level of like
Adoption?
yeah, like I just want people to be cool with it, like at the level it is now, like that they're not gonna like fucking yank everything out from your hands, as at least as much, you know. You know, that's really more of what I'm looking for, because I kind of enjoyed the gradual evolution of technology over time. I feel like it created a really nice narrative for my life, going from literal childhood of like no technology, you know, modern technology, to kind of like blossoming into this super technological age that we're in now. You know, I guess I'm a little nostalgic about it. I don't know.
It's alright. Yeah, I'm with you. It kind of made me mad a lot when I was not only in high school, but I feel like a lot in general, was that like technology was always yanked from your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like technology was like slapped all the time if you used it. It was like, nope, you'll never learn how to spell if you use spell check. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like you'll never learn how to read books if you read on a tablet. Stop it. Like you'll never be able to. It's always like the worst thing you could do is use another tool to help yourself be better at something. It's always what you're not learning that we know from the past instead of like what you can use now to help you know better what you should know for the future. It's just so weird. It's so backwards to me. That's why when I read this article, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like it's always going to be, you know, before there was texting in class, there was passing notes, and that was equally as shunned. You know, it's just like, whatever. This is. Why can't we just embrace it? Why can't we just?
Nathan, more or less?
Definitely not less. I'm perfectly satisfied with the amount of technology we have. But I don't really know what more would mean, because I don't know what future technology holds. But it's obviously going to be integrated one sooner or later. So I'd go ahead and say more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're a pretty self-selecting sample here on Dude's Brunch, but I like what we came up with. Final question, and on a fun note, what is one thing that you learned in school that is completely useless now that we have contemporary technology? I'll go first. There is absolutely no reason I needed to learn how to write in cursive.
Oh, yeah.
No reason at all. Completely useless. Never going to do it again. After writing that stupid statement at the end of the SAT every year, that's the only time I ever used cursive.
We learned cursive in 3rd grade, and that was the last class that they had ever taught cursive to.
Oh, they're done teaching it?
Oh, yeah. They've been done for a while.
Good. Fuck cursive. Sean?
I don't know. I'm gonna defer for a second while I keep thinking about it.
I would counter your cursive hate bandwagon for just a moment and say that it has some artistical implications that I think are valuable, but other than that, I don't think it's very useful. So I would say that I would encourage it in like a more artistic sense, like incorporate that maybe in art class.
Yeah, but don't teach it in English. I agree.
Right.
Tyler, most useless thing you learned in school that would be completely irrelevant now?
Oh, I don't know. There's so much.
This is like lightning round shit. Come on, get it together. Nathan, most useless thing you've learned in school that you think will be completely outmoded by technology by the time you're 25?
No clue.
That's fair. You're guessing on the future. These guys should know that.
This is gonna sound really, 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 really weird. Probably a foreign language.
No, it's fair.
I mean, and this is like I kind of feel like I should like put a disclaimer on this one that like it's not that foreign languages aren't useful, because once I started reading like heavier texts later on in my educational career, having an understanding of foreign language is really valuable. Like I took 2 years of collegiate French, and I took Spanish and French in high school, but I think with the advent of like automatic translation, that's kind of going out of the way. And two, I think that if you don't want to learn a foreign language, that you should be able to learn the language of computers. You should be able to take coding as a foreign language.
That would be practical and useful.
Right. I think that would be really useful whenever anybody tries to. This kind of goes back to cursive. Whenever anybody tries to say like, well, cursive is valuable. Like I get it. It's aesthetically pleasing and it lends itself to other things. But at the same time, I think we live in this world of almost, it seems like a lot of interactions have to be with computers. You should understand what the computer sees. So.
Also, high school foreign language classes completely worthless. Like,
Yeah, the amount of people who retain what they learned in a high school college class is nothing.
I'll link in the show notes to an episode of Hello Internet where they bitch about this for like an hour. Fantastic. And they bring up the same point that Sean does.
Yeah.
Don't eliminate foreign language, but offer programming as an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
I would learn German or Japanese in a heartbeat, but you didn't offer me or any Eastern Asian country. But no, you gave me French or Spanish. French is worthless. Sorry for everyone in France. But Spanish, practical application because they're actually in the same continent as us. People that speak Spanish, so it has like actual use. Well, I guess technically French Canadian, but who gives a fuck? You know, like.
Oh, the hate mail's gonna start coming now.
They speak English. If you're in Canada, you probably speak English, unless you
Okay,
don't. I'm sorry.
Tyler, you're going on a rant right now.
I'm sorry.
What is your useless thing you learned in school?
The slide rule.
Did you actually learn the slide rule in school?
Yeah, we did.
What the fuck
Holy
is that?
shit.
Yeah.
Nathan doesn't even know what that is.
A slide rule is like a really primitive calculator. That's not even a calculator. It's like a ruler that you put together with another ruler, and it helps you do division and multiplication.
Oh, so not like an abacus. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, I have to say foreign languages, at least the ones I was offered, because they are fucking worthless. So.
Well, there you have it.
And most art classes too.
Man, our art classes were bad.
Make a paper mache, whatever the fuck. Yay!
You did it! Colby says, all that happens in my Japanese class is weeboos talking bad Japanese. Sounds about like most of my Spanish classes in high school.
You had weeboos talking about broken Japanese?
No, I had a bunch of people pretending they could speak Spanish and eating candy when the teacher wasn't looking.
Ooh, naughty.
I know, right? All right. Well, I'm very interested to hear what people say. Tweet in throughout the week, and maybe we'll assemble like a dude's brunch syllabus of the most useless things we learned in high school. That could be fun. In the meantime, though, we've gone pretty much as long as we possibly can without getting into our final section of the show, which is, of course, Shameless Plugs. This week, we're going to start with the birthday boy, Tyler.
You always start. Alright, so.
Happy 25th birthday, buddy. What do you have to plug?
That quarter of a century feels great. Alright, find my work on TylerGReed.com. I do illustration and design work. You should hire me to do your poster, t-shirt, CD, whatever the fuck. You can find me on Twitter on TDR Design. Find me on Instagram, TDR Design. I got a shout out from Strawberry Luna, who's a very successful screen printer from Pittsburgh. I talked to her at a craft fair I went to yesterday, and she hit me up, and now I'm like, I should probably use Instagram now because I post like once a month, so I'm gonna try to post more on Instagram.
Sean, shameless plugs from you.
This week I'm gonna do a ripped comic, so check that out. It's in the works right now. Other than that, nothing really much is going on. So happy birthday, Tyler.
Thank you. We hit a snag with Sean doesn't play video games.
Yeah.
We played Hotline Miami, and it didn't go well, so we're currently
truly awful.
Trying to couldn't get past the first part of the game, the first level.
If you have suggestions for new episodes of Sean Doesn't Play Video Games, tweet them at Sean Doesn't Play.
You're welcome, bingo players.
How's that for a plug?
Yeah, other than that, that's all I got.
Nathan, thanks for coming on the show. What shameless plugs do you have?
Follow me on Twitter at NathanHampton4. That's the only social media account I really have that doesn't just shit posting memes. That's pretty much it for me.
That's fair. Your Instagram is like meme-tastic. I don't know how I feel about it. You can follow me on Twitter at TC Olmstead. You can follow the show on Twitter at Dudes Brunch. You can like us on Facebook. If you like the show and want more people to know about the show so that you don't sound weird at parties, you can rate us on iTunes. We have no ratings on iTunes, and we've been doing this for 38 episodes. So somebody please give us a rating, even if it's negative. I would really appreciate it. Other than that, you can buy merch, including the awesome new Dudes Brunch Ugly Holidays sweater at our merch store. It's on our website. Click the merch button. That's dudesbrunch.wordpress.com. And that's it. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Oh, wait. We got to talk about what we're going to talk about next week on the show.
Yeah, Sean, what are we going to talk about next week on the show?
Yeah, next week we're going to do a live amputation of Taylor's left ear, and we're going to put an iPhone 7 head jack into it because they're getting rid of headphones. Think I'm lying? Look it up. Look it up. Rumor suggests that iPhone 7 will ditch headphone jack.
And there you have it, folks. You can see my bloody ear amputation and so much more next week on Dudes Brunch. Bye-bye.